Hi everybody, welcome back to the Skookum Report. Tonight's Bigfoot encounter is called the Night Stalker of Edwards Air Force Base. And again, this comes from Bobbie Short's material, and I want to thank her friends and family for letting me share this with you all. It's a privilege and I'm honored. And this one's pretty credible too, because it comes from enlisted men and military police at Edwards Air Force Base in California. Again, this is called the Night Stalker of Edwards Air Force Base, and it goes like this. It was a routine night at the Edwards Air Force Base in California at the Air Security Police Desk until a frantic call came in from the patrol on duty at the restricted site known as Project Logic. The man's voice was urgent and high-pitched with fear. "Send a patrol, quick! There's this huge form coming towards me, and hurry!" His voice trailed off, and the sounds of gunshots could be heard through the receiver. Then there was nothing but an ominous silence. When the patrol arrived, the guard was found in a dazed and incoherent state after having fired a full magazine in his gun. The Office of Special Investigation, or the OSI, was called in. And according to one military source, the patrol vehicle was found overturned, and the patrolman's rifle was snapped in two, and huge five-toed, bare human-like footprints crisscrossed the whole site. The patrolman had not been injured, but was terrified. While no official report of this incident can be found in the archives of the base's historical department, the rumor circulated throughout the Air Force Police that the man at Project Logic was deeply affected by his encounter of that night. They said he was placed in a military hospital and eventually sent to an overseas base. In the spring of 1974, Edwards Air Force Base security policeman Sergeant Michael House was on night patrol on the outskirts of the powerful communications site known as Mars Station. Mars Station maintains radio contact with other military installations around the globe. A nearby microwave tower, looming like a lonely sentinel in the darkness, stood surrounded by a wooden fence posted with signs advising that explosive devices, electrically operated or magnetically charged, would detonate within a certain radius. Sergeant House was patrolling in the area of the abandoned sled track, once used for testing G-forces, when he saw it. "I had gotten a new spotlight and was trying it out," he said. "Heading back to the main base, I noticed maybe 200 to 300 yards off to my left these large blue eyes. Now, I do a lot of night hunting, and it was strange. They were larger than anything I'd ever seen before, and their diameter had to be about 4 inches apart and about 7 feet off the ground. I stopped the truck and sat there watching them. It was too dark to see any body shape to the thing, and the blue glows proceeded towards my truck at the right angle for about 100 yards, and then they stopped. The hair bristled on the back of the patrolman's neck as the larger-than-human eyes began circling and again moving closer to his vehicle. A rank smell like something rotten permeated the air. The thing moved closer again, now coming within 50 yards of his truck, but still its shape could not be discerned through the brush in the desert. Just at that moment, the truck radio advised Sergeant House that he should proceed directly back to the main base, and he quickly left the area. He returned 3 hours later, but there was no trace of the blue eyes, and rain had washed out the possibility of locating any of the tracks the following day. The movement of the eyes was extremely fast, Sergeant House recalled. Another thing that bothered me was that they didn't bob up and down. It was like two lights on a wire moving from one point to another. He was ribbed a good deal while making out this official report on the incident, which was to set the standard of non-reporting from other patrols that encountered strange things in subsequent months. The commanding officer wanted to believe his men were simply overly imaginative. After all, the desert could produce some eerie effects at night, and then, too, reports of fantastic creatures in and around restricted areas didn't look good in the official log. "You're only hearing the wind," he told the men staffing the Mars station on the midnight shift, who said they had been hearing some unusual sounds, as well as seeing the dark form of something walk past the building, a figure which would have been almost 8 feet tall to be seen through the high windows. Something which stepped on and pulverized a glass soda pop bottle in its path. In several instances, calls to the Air Force Police about creatures moving in the desert did turn out to be wild boars moving silently through the sage at night. Now, while their eyes are blue, there's almost no reflection due to limited pigmentation. If there were official investigations by the OSI, the men on patrol seldom heard the outcome unless there was some natural explanation. Thus, they wondered about the rumor circulating that 3 men on duty at a complex near the bombing range had called in for help. As the story went, when the patrol arrived, they found the security guards unconscious, and the door leading into the building was ripped off its hinges, and the sophisticated electronic equipment within had been demolished. Was this just a tale? It was told to an air policeman by a member of the patrol investigating that call for help. The Rocket Propulsion Lab lies on the eastern edge of Edwards Air Force Base, and it utilizes a vast area of the facility. It contains installations ranging from gigantic multi-million-pound thrust rocket stands to smaller, highly specialized test equipment, which can capture and instantaneously analyze the exhaust gas produced by a rocket engine. That's a mouthful. It is here that the rockets and similar hardware are tested for the study of propulsion. Studied for the propulsion equipment under conditions of long-term exposure to the environment. It is also here that the weapon systems are developed and tested. Certain areas are off limits to civilians and signs warn to keep out of the potentially toxic areas. Air Police Sergeant Barton had an open mind about creatures because his relatives in Missouri had seen and shot at the mammoth Bigfoot-like monster known as Momo. And though he trusted their accounts of the incident, he also realized the doubt and ridicule they were subjected to when they talked about it. As a result, no formal report was made to the Air Security Police concerning what had happened in the winter of 1974 while Barton was on patrol in the vicinity of the Rocket Propulsion Laboratory and the strange blue lights he saw in the nearby mountains. Assuming the lights to be from a car, Barton drove towards them in order to intercept any unauthorized trespassers. The lights vanished when he arrived at the site where he had last seen them, but now he found his vehicle mired in the soft desert sand. Walking approximately 2 miles back to the base, the sergeant intercepted a patrol and they radioed for a tow truck. When the truck arrived and everyone returned to the sergeant's vehicle, they found 3 towed tracks measuring 14 inches long with what appeared to be a clawed digit at the heel. The wind was blowing softly, and it was blowing soft sand into the footprints, and they were filling in quite rapidly, making any precise identifications difficult. But whatever it was had completely circled the truck as if inspecting it, and it then just walked off on 2 legs into the desert. 3 weeks later, and also on patrol, Air Patrol Sergeant Jones was parked in the region of the rocket site, and it was close to midnight. The moon was up, and when suddenly Jones noticed a shape moving across the skyline of a nearby hill. While he couldn't estimate its height, the trunk area or girth was described as immense. The sergeant quickly grabbed his radio microphone and called headquarters. "Tell the replacements to hurry up. I might need some help," he urged. As Jones looked back again to the hill, 2 large, luminescent, green-blue orb-like eyes were moving towards him. "They didn't really seem to me like they were bouncing the way a person would when walking," he said. They kind of floated or were moving on an easy glide. Car lights appeared down the road, and the patrolman lost no time in getting out of his truck and walking to meet the vehicle. At that moment, he was extremely grateful that the men had responded so quickly to his call for help. But that wasn't actually so. The other vehicle had been ordered into the area in response to a report about strange lights being observed in the hills. Yet no unauthorized cars had been located, and now the glowing eyes had disappeared. All that remained in the vicinity were unusual marks on the ground. The two rounded depressions measured 6 inches and 2 inches in diameter, respectively. There were foot tracks as well, and they were all over the place, Jones said. There were so many of them that I couldn't follow any type of trail. Barton, who had found tracks around his truck a few weeks earlier, said they were similar to what he had seen. The other man along the patrol didn't get out of the car. He said he didn't want anything to do with it. Can anybody blame him? Shoo. No, I sure couldn't. And especially, man, can you imagine knowing you have to be there? You can't just turn around and jet, you know? You're there on a patrol or on a mission or on a assignment. Man, and then when you feel like you can't tell anybody what you saw, that's crazy. Edwards Air Force Base in California. That's something else. If you or anybody you know has seen a Bigfoot or had a sighting or an encounter and you'd like to have it on the Skookum Report, just write it down in an email and shoot it off to me at skookumreport@gmail.com. That's skookumreport@gmail.com. And I'll be sure to get it up on the channel for you. It's no problem at all. And this is a safe place to share your encounter stories. There's no ridicule here. And if I see any in the comments, like I said yesterday, I'll just delete them and block them. This is your place and your space. And everybody here will be respected. So don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. Say hi. I enjoyed talking with y'all and enjoyed meeting new people. And I've met a lot of great people so far. And I want to say hi to Big Mike. And I guess that's about it until the next Skookum Report. I just want to tell y'all God bless you and be safe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.